Hi ladies, it's Angela here. I want to talk to you today about something that I think is very common for women, especially as they move into their 40s and 50s, and this is brain fog. So many women start to notice that they're just not feeling quite as clear, quite as sharp. They're starting to forget things more. They're waking up even after they've had what they think is a good night's sleep, and they feel like they're in a fog. They feel like they need to have a cup of coffee or some other form of caffeine, something that helps to basically sharpen up the mind. And they'll get a bit of clarity for a while, but then they hit this 2, 3, 4 p.m. in the afternoon and they feel like they're crashing and the fog comes back big time. Now, some women also find that they're not even having this pattern of a lift. They're just feeling like they're living in a fog all of the time. And it really just isn't acceptable for us. We can't live our life like this. We can't function. We can't focus. It's funny, I was just having this conversation with my girlfriend today who is also in midlife, and she was saying it's definitely one of her main symptoms. She notices she's not sleeping as deeply as she used to. So, this is common as well, and it can be part of the reason why we struggle with brain fog is because we're not getting good quality sleep. As the hormone levels shift for women as they move towards and into the perimenopause, menopause change, definitely we can have lighter sleep because there is a hormone imbalance. What happens is estrogen doesn't lower quite as quickly as progesterone. So women do tend to naturally become more estrogen dominant in this phase of life, especially in your mid to late 40s and early to mid 50s. There's a lot of fluctuation and change with hormones. So if we're not sleeping properly or we're sleeping later than we used to, definitely this could be one of the reasons we're not feeling as sharp. But the other reason that I find is so common for women, and again, they think it's their sex hormones that's causing it, but very, very commonly, there's a connection between what's happening with your cortisol and your adrenal system, and this has to do with stress. So women generally are under a significant amount of stress in this time of life, 40s, 50s, sometimes even into your early 60s. This is a time of life where many females are either still raising their children if they have them, they're kind of at the peak of their career, they're managing their home life, their relationships, they may be managing aging parents as well, other aging family members. And really for most women in this time of life, the plate is very, very full. Women sometimes, in addition to this, have different traumas. Many women have had trauma from relationships, divorces, separations. There's really an endless list of the potential things that women can have go on. And I've definitely seen this in my practice with some of the things that people have to go through and how it really has these significant impacts on their health. Now, what can happen here in regards to how this impacts brain fog is when we're under a lot of stress, what happens is we start to produce more cortisol. So cortisol is that body production. Basically, it's a defense mechanism to help keep us balanced and managing and resilient to stress. But what can happen is cortisol can start to get out of balance when we have too much stress, and the body can't rebalance it. It can't recalibrate it during the day. And what happens if cortisol stays too high is it starts to cause inflammation in the body. And it can cause inflammation in various different places in the body, but it certainly can also cause inflammation in the brain. So brain fog is like brain inflammation. It's saying brain's on fire, the brain needs help. Help me. I'm having memory concerns, concentration concerns. Often this does come with mood swings, irritations as well, changes to how you're feeling as far as balance that way when the brain is not balanced. So we've got to really be thinking, where is the root of this brain fog coming from? Is it coming from something that's going on in your life right now? Is it coming from the hormone shifts that are happening? Are you not sleeping properly? Another common place that brain fog can come from, again, is that inflammatory component. So we talked about how cortisol could be a contributor to that inflammation due to high stress, chronic stress. But another thing that is significant for causing inflammation is our diet. So many women are just not eating the right things. They're eating how they always have. They haven't made adjustments or shifts as their body starts to change and shift. And as a result of this, inflammation goes up more, unfortunately for us, naturally, as our hormone levels decline, estrogen, progesterone. Estrogen, progesterone are very protective for us, especially estrogen against inflammation. So as we lose more and more of that estrogen, our inflammation, unfortunately, naturally goes up. So we have to actually have more of an anti-inflammatory diet as we get into our 40s, 50s, and beyond than we did in our 20s and 30s. We could get away with it more then. So if you haven't made adjustments to your diet yet, most likely your inflammation is going up, and most likely that's also contributing to your brain fog. So what are these diet changes I'm speaking about? So for most women, they become more sensitive to sugars and simple carbohydrates. And again, this has to do with the lowering, changing, shifting estrogen and progesterone levels. So we're not going to be as tolerant of having that glass of wine or that dessert after dinner. Some of those things that we may have been accustomed to at least a few times a week, or the odd time on the weekend. Maybe it's more often than that. It might be that you used to eat a carbohydrate, maybe it was something like rice or noodles or that type of thing at 2 or 3 meals out of your day, possibly. And if that's the case, you probably shouldn't be doing that anymore in your 40s and 50s. Again, the reason for that is because you're actually not going to be able to break down those sugars as easily. And sugar, when it sits in the bloodstream for too long and it's not broken down and utilized by the body, promotes inflammation. And it can definitely contribute to brain inflammation, which equals brain fog. So we have to start making adjustments to our diet too. So that's one of the first places to look, is to start reducing some of those more simple carbohydrates, replacing them with complex carbohydrates. So things like whole grains instead of those white grains. Processed packaged foods, we've got to be on the lookout for some of the hidden chemicals and toxins that promote inflammation in those foods. Often we can be tricked into thinking they look like healthy foods. They're labels as such, but when you actually look at what's in them, there's a lot of ingredients we can't pronounce. There's a lot of seed oils that are highly processed and very pro-inflammatory. So again, just something to really start keeping in mind. There's some really basic strategies you can start to put in place to help you learn and understand what you can do to take charge of that brain fog if you're starting to feel it and it's impacting your life on a daily basis as you get into your 40s and 50s. For some women, they need to go deeper than this. They need to start looking at root causes with lab testing. So, for example, you may need to be doing lab testing to understand specifically where your cortisol levels are. You may be doing lab testing to understand specifically where your blood sugars are. You may be doing more labs beyond that to understand where is that inflammation that's triggering and contributing to your brain fog. Where is it coming from? So there's various different places in the body where it can be coming from. It's not usually just coming from hormone shifts. There's usually more to the picture, and often we have to dig a little deeper. We have to become detectives of our own health and start to understand how can we connect the dots to create a personalized plan for ourselves to get our brain basically back online. So this is what I do with women all the time. I start to really probe and understand your health history, start to understand where symptoms potentially could be coming from based on that health history. And I run the proper lab testing to help us really get to the root cause of where your symptoms are coming from. So again, with brain fog, there could be various different reasons. There could be hormonal reasons. I didn't talk about the thyroid, but there's commonly imbalances with the thyroid as well, not just the adrenals and the sex hormones when we have brain fog. So we've really got to start running the right labs and teasing out what is contributing the most to your brain fog and what do we need to do to create a customized strategy for your success. So if this sounds like you, if you sound, like frustrated that you've tried a lot of different things, you've had brain fog for a long time, it's getting worse, not better, despite what you try, please feel free to reach out to me. So you can go to my website, www.angelasimpsonfunctionalmedicine.ca. I'd be really happy to have a complimentary consult with you and talk about if it might be a good fit for us to work together to first understand where the root cause of your symptoms is coming from, and then to develop a personalized plan based on the proper lab testing. So again, always feel free to reach out to me on that website. And also, if you want to and you haven't already, please like my socials so that you can see some of the videos that I share with you and some tips and strategies on a weekly basis as to how you can start to learn how to rebalance your hormones naturally as a female over 40. So you can like me on YouTube, you can like me on TikTok, Instagram, and I also have a Facebook group called Functional Medicine for Hormonal Imbalances, and I have 7,000 women in there, and we talk on a weekly basis about root cause solutions for women as they're struggling with perimenopause and menopause, and really how to get your life back and feel vital from here moving forward. All right, thanks ladies. Take care. Have a good day. Bye for now.